again, you are describing a story of thriving, not surviving.
Obviously, when I told everyone that I'm leaving cardiac surgery, they thought I'm crazy. Parents did an intervention. They drove all the way from the south of Germany to Berlin on a Friday night just to make sure that I'm not losing it.
I went from having 7 1-hour back-to-back meetings in a day without time to drink water.
And something amazing that you said is that self-discipline, which is very important. And it's the little things that we do in self-discipline, the little habits that we cultivate into our daily lives that will make the change.
So I would like to ask you a big question at the very beginning.
Okay, diving right in.
For us to understand who are you as a human, welcome to From Hero to Human. This is your bold, authentic space where we talk about mental health and well-being for healthcare professionals and beyond. Here we challenge the notion of superhero and we try to shift the narrative and move from that superhero who runs 200%, 365 days a year to a wellness warrior narrative. So someone who is really taking care of themselves, and by this, they are producing positive change in their ecosystems. Today, we continue the conversation about how healthcare professionals can take care of themselves. And it's a super exciting episode again, because we have an amazing guest with us who also comes from the healthcare space. So Kerstin, welcome to From Hero to Human.
Thank you very much. Very excited to be here with you.
I am proud to give this intro. When we agreed how we would like this to feel, you have pointed me to a specific phrase, and really I've been embracing it and trying to understand, and really these few sentences just give the essence of who you are and how you have arrived at this space today. So Dr. Kerstin Brehm is a cardiac surgeon turned strategist who thinks in solutions. She cuts through career confusion like she once cut through human heart. Precise, strategic, and results-driven.
Like it. Thank you very much.
How does it feel?
It feels good. It feels probably like me. So yeah, pretty good. You nailed it.
Lovely. Thank you. So I would like to ask you a big question at the very beginning.
Okay. Diving right in.
For us to understand who are you as a human, but also healthcare professional and, someone who inspires, someone who definitely thrives, not just survives. It's not about the burnout story. It's about how you have used your own thriving story, the good points, the pivots to create solutions that you are now using with other female founders and, or men. It doesn't need to be only females. So tell us, how did you arrive at this position that you are here today?
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a story. I hope you have some time. So how did I arrive? So, okay, I started out in cardiac surgery, as you said, as a woman, which was very unusual. And everyone said that can't be done, that should be done. And that probably fueled my fire into I show you that it can be done, and I show you that I can get my board certification in the minimum amount of time. And that's what I did after 5 years and 11 months. So 6 years, it's official. I handed in all the certificates to do the board certification. So I did that. I went on to being the first female cardiac, senior cardiac surgeon at my department by that time. That wasn't done before as a female. And so that was me, pretty ambitious, driven. It's probably also me today, but that's what I've done. So I thrived in cardiac surgery, did my congenital cardiac surgery as well, switched hospitals to the biggest cardiac surgical unit in Germany at the Berlin Heart Center. And then one day I was like, that's not it anymore. That's like my lifelong goal was being where I was. And I was like, okay, I'm in my mid-30s. That can't be it. I can't be doing that for the next 30 years without a goal. I need a goal. I can't just enjoy my life. And so I thought, okay, I have to do something else. So one night in the OR, it was like no, I want more and I have to do something else. So I handed in my notice actually 3 days later without knowing what the more is. Then I was going deep into, okay, what is really what I want to do? Because I still wanted to be a boss and wanted to change things. I think that was my main driver, and to change the system, change things. And so I thought, maybe being a hospital CEO would be a great idea in order to change things. Then I thought, we don't learn much about economy in med school, like none.
Mhm.
So I thought, okay, I can go do an MBA. And didn't want to go back to uni because we have a whole lot of education in medicine. So no, that wasn't appealing. And then I thought, okay, I go into consulting to have learning by doing with the projects. And that's what I did. I kind of convinced them that it's a brilliant idea to hire a consulting cardiac surgeon. Yeah, it wasn't too easy to convince them that that's a great idea and I can do consulting as well, because I was convinced. And if I'm doing that great in cardiac surgery, I'd be great in other things as well. That was just, I don't know where it come from, but I was so convinced. And so I convinced at least one company, so that was enough. So I've been a director at Deloitte at their healthcare practice for a couple of years, got to know the space, decided that hospital CEO is not a really fancy job. So I did that, stayed in cardiac surgery. Then the headhunter called for a managing director position in the Middle East. And first I thought, Middle East, not for me. I'm all about female empowerment with my background. And I had all the biases in the world about the region. So I thought, oh, no. But then I thought, the healthcare market is a bit more interesting in the Middle East because there's much more moving. They're moving forward and all the strategy. And I was a speaker of Future of Health for Deloitte. All that can be maybe realized here, and it couldn't be realized in Germany, to be honest. And that's what brought me here. And I was always, I said, it's a long story, I was always building something on the side, and what I now call a portfolio career, but I didn't know it when I first started out. And because I had a fashion blog while I was still being a cardiac surgeon, like working 80 to 100 hours a week, but I wanted to have something else in my life as well. So I started a fashion blog. Then I worked as a personal stylist at the weekends while being a director at Deloitte. Because I thought weekends are free, I can do that. Then I built an online course for females in male-dominated industries to give back all the learnings I had on my way. And then I kind of slid into speaking, into consulting, etc. as well. Obviously, real estate investments came into play, investing in the stock market, and so I kind of built my portfolio like bit by bit on the side. So came to the region after 2 years. The international corporate that brought me here decided we don't want to be that international anymore, and we want to shut down the international business. And so in the decision of either going back to Europe or staying here and relying completely on my portfolio career, I decided for the latter and go all into my portfolio career. And today I'm here with you. So that's it.
Wow, Dr. Kerstin, that's beautiful. I can see the power that you have in terms of the woman who can actually push and do it. And, for leadership and women in leadership, there are certain connotations about this, like there are certain social personas that woman has to have and characteristic that she has to have in order to be at the leadership role. And then there is the imposter syndrome that can creep up because you are going up into leadership. And it's something that I have had a taste of, which is feeling as if you reach there because of luck, for example, but not actual the hard work that you've done, your sweat and blood, your dedication, etc. And you mentioned that coming here to the Middle East was something that you questioned. And I wanted to dig a little bit deeper about how you see women in leadership in the Middle East and what is something that we can advise our audience to take.
Yeah, actually, before I came here, maybe I start there. I thought, okay, women are not in leadership in the Middle East. They stay at home, and that's why they have to dress a certain way. And then when I tried to get more information about moving here and read blogs that were pretty pretty recent actually by that time. It was like, you can't hold hands in public, you have to dress a certain way. And I was like, oh my God, I can't wear all my clothes. And not that my clothes are that revealing, but they are usually not covering the knee. And so I was like, oh, I don't want that. So, my experience as a woman in leadership was always that I had to fight for my place. That everyone, when I was entering the room, either being, for example, when we went out for cardiac transplant to harvest a heart, and I was there with my team, and I was the transplant surgeon, everyone was turning to my younger colleagues who were there to assist me because they thought they were the surgeon. So I had always to claim my space and to say, no, I'm the one in charge, and please listen to me, not to them. And in consulting as well, when I came in with my male colleagues, and they typically thought that they are in charge, and then they realized later that I'm in charge. So it was always the unconscious bias that the man is in charge and not the woman. Had the same, I was operating in Laos, for example, and we had actually a male scrub nurse that was traveling with us, and he was close to 2 meters. Then it was me, and then there were the LATEX surgeons, pretty small, and they were, I think they were devastated to see a female surgeon and a male scrub nurse. So that was my reality for, I don't know, probably 15 years. And so I thought it would be even worse coming here. But as I said, I'm quite adventurous, so I thought, just give it a try. I can always go back. But I think it was the first time here where I had the feeling that I not have to fight for my role and my position that much, that when I came to client meetings, that they from the get-go accepted that a woman can be the boss, and not were drawn to my male colleagues that were with me in talking to them and not to me. So that was quite interesting, because that was nothing what I have experienced. Neither I've operated all over the world, in China, in Laos, in the US, South Africa, Australia, and it was always different. And so that was actually a really nice thing. And so I had a look at some of the statistics as well in women in leadership, and then when you see the quotas the government gives out for the public space, but for the private now as well, that's impressive. And actually they make sure that they reach us, because we have quotas in Germany as well, but oh my God, we are so far away from reaching them. And it's so a hard discussion about, oh yeah, now we have all those incompetent women on the top because there's a quota. But yeah, so that was probably my bias and my reality before I came here, and then the pleasant surprise when I came here.
Super interesting. And again, thank you for sharing. And you give a really detailed explanation. So it's almost like really easy to digest. And it's like a beautiful narrative. This is your story. But again, we can perhaps inspire others just learning from that one story. Because again, you are describing a story of thriving, not surviving, not letting others put you in that box and staying in that box, that a female leader cannot reach to the top and we need to stop perhaps midway. So an interesting concept of feminine and masculine energy in leadership. This is something that really interests me, and I started digging in deep to really understand what's in it, how is it now coming to the surface. Because when we look at all the historical leadership models, it used to be industrial revolution, so leadership being about the muscle. Then we moved to leadership being about the brain, and finally is the leadership about the heart. And when we look at the feminine leadership characteristics, is someone who nurtures, someone who creates space for others to thrive, someone who is empathetic and leading from the heart. Saying that, we don't want, females to only have feminine leadership traits. There needs to be a balance. So even in men now, we are looking at that balance, because we know that this is the way how you're going to be successful and how you're going to thrive. So question for you. How did you create that balance for yourself between the feminine and masculine leadership energies?
Yeah, probably by observing and knowing what I didn't want. I think that was the main driver, because I've seen obviously a lot of male leaders in cardiac surgery, so that's where I grew up. So it was all male on the top. So till I came, and there was one female, but till then, and medicine, as you both know, it's a very hierarchical, very male dominated, old-fashioned environment still, and I think other industries can't really relate to that because they have moved a bit further ahead than medicine. So I've seen that, and I had actually a little booklet in my little wardrobe in the hospital, where I wrote down what I don't want to do when I'm in charge. It's like whenever, whether I was a student or was in my residency, when something happened and it was really bad leadership, I wrote it down to go back to when I'm in charge, to revisit and do it differently. So I was kind of afraid to take up all the traits of the too much of the male energy and not the female one. And I've seen other women rise to the top, but they kind of were better men than all the men at the top, because they were obviously they learned that being in that male energy and leaving their feminine side out of the picture, that's something that gives them the success, and so they continued and being even more male dominant than any man around them. So I think that combination is that what made me so successful. On the one hand side, learning in surgery to be decisive, to take the responsibility, to be fully in charge and to be fast. I think that's something I can do really good. And on the other hand side, being empathetic and taking team with me and motivate the team. I think that's something we naturally, maybe from our upbringing or social life, we tend to be better than men. And so I think combining then those and then switching in what situation you have to do what, because it doesn't help in a stressful situation where the waters are tough and I don't know, in surgery and something is going wrong, to get out my feminine side and say, yeah, is everyone all right? Yeah. Oh yeah, how are you feeling? So that's not helping. So then I have to say, okay, give me the knife, please, give the shot of adrenaline, please increase the pump flow, and we are running. So I think the switching, and I think that's something you really learn really well in the operating room, because it's like a high pressure environment where every mistake probably leads to a not that favorable outcome.
Fantastic. You know, when I think of thriving, and we were just talking about it just now, about the kind of like the difference between the thriving and the surviving. You think about what are the elements that you need to incorporate in your life in order for you to have a purposeful life, in order for you to reach the next level. And this is something that requires you to fill in your internal resource and to bring that into fruition wherever you go, so that you can actually influence and actually feel that you are, you know, successful. And this creates that sense of focusing on your performance and becoming the leader that you want to be. Now, when I think about high-performing leader, it reminds me of how I usually work as an autopilot mode, which is very bad, by the way, because what happens is that you are pushing yourself so hard, you don't have clarity, you are stressed out, and you just want to reach that level without focusing on the importance of your well-being. And you have created so many amazing things. And you've mentioned in your bio how you can help people to reach that, you know, high-performing leaders. Can you tell us more about that?
Yes, definitely. So it all comes down probably to balance and how well you know yourself, and how well you let yourself know yourself properly. That's really important, because I think when I look down at my journey, I'm someone that has a lot to give, that is very energetic and outgoing. But even me, I need a night where I don't see anyone and just crawl up in my bed, read a book or watch Netflix or whatsoever, and that eat a tub of Ben and Jerry's as well, and like blend out the world and just be me, be miserable sometimes. But that's just something I need, and I think we have to, what we all probably in that high stress environment, where we have to see that there's a world outside of our jobs and outside of that world. and there's something else out there. And I think that's so important, because when you work that much and are in that high pressure environment, that becomes your life, and you have to stop that from that. And that was me with incorporating the fashion blog, like having something else. And no, it wasn't pleasant to write a blog post I've committed to late at night or on my free weekends or on call. Yes, it wasn't, but I wanted to do that. Then I have to commit myself to that, or find time to do my workouts and scheduling them. But I think that's so important, and to keep your mind open, because sometimes people, especially in medicine, they are focused on medicine. Their friends are made in medicine as well. So that's your world, and so important to look outside of that world as well. And I've played volleyball professionally, and even though I was that great cardiac surgeon, I wasn't the captain of my volleyball team, because I wasn't the one that could reliably be at the training 3 times a week, because I had on call, so I couldn't reliably be there. And so I was just a team member. But that keeps you grounded, and that keeps you seeing other realities as well. And then there are people that are complaining about their jobs, and you think, oh, come on, that's like, how much do you work? Like 40 hours a week? What are you complaining? Yes, that was me thinking, but it gives you another perspective. And I think first you have to really see and go back maybe to what you wanted as a child, and what's your vision. So if you don't have any boundaries and no buts in your head, and not what everyone's thinking or what has been done before, when you keep all of that out of the picture, what is it you want, and what's the vision you have for your life? And then obviously you have to take the courage to fulfill that. So obviously when I told everyone that I'm leaving cardiac surgery, they thought I'm crazy. My parents did an intervention. They drove all the way from the south of Germany to Berlin on a Friday night just to make sure that I'm not losing it. Because they've seen that I put so much effort into getting to the point where I am. So they said, okay, now enjoy it. So enjoy it. So it takes courage to stand up for yourself, I think, too. But I always tell people you only have one life, and that's for all of us. We all have just one life, so we have to make the best of it. Don't wait for retirement. How many people do we see that are out there and say, oh yeah, I'm going to travel the world once I'm retired? Maybe we don't reach retirement. My mom didn't. So you have to live in the moment as much as you can.
Beautiful story again, and I'm really happy that you have mentioned balance again. So balance is not just the fluffy word, okay, the Instagrammable quote that is there, everything is about balance, blah, blah, blah. Yes, it is about balance, because we can see clearly that you need to balance the feminine and the masculine. And then when it comes to life balance, and hello everyone, is not work-life balance, because there is many more components to life than just work. And when it comes to working in healthcare, I think it's even more important that you have a life outside your work that you are looking for, that you are excited about, that brings joy, smile to your face, and you are almost so excited that you cannot wait to live that shift. And we know that, there is a lot of shame or maybe feeling guilty when it comes to the healthcare hero narrative. When, sometimes we need to stay after the shift, okay? My patient become poorly at the end of the shift. Yes, I'm going to be there. There is no question about it. This is our calling. This is our vocation. But we need to put some mechanisms in place to make sure that the balance is there. Sometimes there are things outside our control, but there are also things that are in our control. So I want to concentrate on this. And some of the previous podcasts before, we've learned from Dr. Louise Lambert that people who don't burn out, and that comes, for example, in healthcare, are those who have a compelling life outside. So those who really have a purpose, and also, as you have mentioned, Kerstin, is the goal. What's your purpose in life, right? You have reached that limit at some point. You decided, I need another goal. And there is nothing wrong with setting another goal. Because I always used to think that I will be in nursing till I retire. That was what I used to think when I was studying nursing. So thank you for bringing the balance to the equation, because I think the whole conversation in today's From Hero to Human episode is about that balance.
Yeah, but maybe one important point, and because I think probably a lot of people now watching and are in the healthcare space, they say, okay, yeah, but I'm so exhausted after my shift. How can I possibly find something that I'm so excited about? I don't want to crash on the sofa, but I want to go out and do stuff.
Yeah.
And that's not always the case. And
Yeah.
I think we can all relate to that. That's like you are so exhausted, you want to just lie down and then that's it. So what comes down there is like discipline as well. So as much as motivation and having something to look forward to is excellent, but we are not always finding that. So then comes down to discipline, because for example, after being in the operating room for 10 hours in a day, the last thing I wanted to do is go to a CrossFit workout. But I knew if I go, I'm feeling so much better. It gives me so much. It gives me not only the physical energy, but it gives me mental clarity, because I solve problems while doing workouts. So sometimes when I'm stuck, it's so good. And then it's the social aspect as well, because I'm meeting people there and I have a workout class. And so if I would have left it up for like motivation, or I'm looking so much forward to, I would have gone probably once in a year. But there the discipline comes in, and the systems you build, it's that I commit to doing it, that I commit to go to my CrossFit training or the volleyball training as often as I can, and then really go there and do it, even if you're not feeling that way. So with all the motivation, the balance is hard work as well.
Absolutely.
I love this conversation. It's full of treasures, I would say, and lots of solutions that we can use, which is something that we focus on here in From Hero to Human as a platform that we have. We value authenticity, we value transparency, we value courage, and we want to influence the masses. We want to make noise, beneficial noise, and bringing experts like Dr. Kerstin, and for you to share this beautiful journey of yours is amazing. And something amazing that you said is that self-discipline, which is very important. And it's the little things that we do in self-discipline, the little habits that we cultivate into our daily lives that will make the change. For example, when I burnt out last year, I decided that this was the last time I'm going to burn out, and I'm going to find something else, or I'm going to find the tools that I need to embed in my life so that I can change. And what I did is, it's the little things that I started to incorporate. For example, breathing. So during my day, I would take 5 minutes, and that 5 minutes, literally, guys, you just have to be human. Do nothing. Just sit there, take a deep breath, put the phone away, leave the laptop, and just be. Just be, that's it. And what it does, it creates that reboot. I call it the reboot pauses, because it makes you just halt so that you can actually accelerate again. And having said that, I am interested in understanding the portfolio career, because I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who would like to understand more. What is it about? How do you create it? Where did it come from? So please tell us more.
So, and I think everyone needs at the moment a portfolio career. So a portfolio career is like a portfolio in your investment as well. So you have not one, but many revenue streams. Because for most of us, I think when we were young, we were getting out there and thought, okay, we get a job and then we retire. So we stick with the job. Maybe we switch employers, but that's just how it goes. But that's not how it goes anymore today. But even what we're seeing now in the US or in Europe, even after working for the same company for 20 years, there are layoffs, there are retrenchments. And so something can happen. Or you want to do something else. You decide that you want to do something else and incorporate like your multi-passion into your life. That's what started it for me, with first the fashion blog and the styling, etc. So there was more of passion or not a money driven at first. And so portfolio careers, as I said, having different revenue streams. One can be a full-time employment. So that's totally fine. That was for me for a long time. But then you add the other things you're passionate about. That can be something creative. For me, it was obviously having the online business, and then having some consultancy work, some mentoring, and then slowly incorporating speaking, like paid speaking. I spoke, I don't know, through my whole career, even as a student, but paid was something different. So adding on only the paid ones into the portfolio career. So speaking. And then I'm a co-founder of a longevity hub. So like all the things you want to do. It doesn't have to be like 6 things when that's something that's too overwhelming, but it should be 3 at least. Whether it's being maybe some passive things, like we all should invest. So that's something I'm passionate about. Whether it's being real estate, stock investment, both, whatever you decide, but you have to kind of invest something and let your money work for you as well. And so that's one part. And then maybe something else that really is something that you could build on the side based on your knowledge and your expertise, because we are all full of expertise someone else is craving. So like thinking about, okay, how can I make money with my knowledge, basically? And so yeah, you should build on the side. And then in the portfolio career, the beauty is that in different stages of your life, you have like one revenue streams be bigger than the others, then another one is going down. Like my full-time employment went down, so I increased my consultancy. So that's the beauty of it, that you can play around, either when the circumstances change, like a layoff, or when you decide that it's time for a change. So that's, and it's a growing concept actually, and I think everyone needs a portfolio career.
And this is super important to mention, because maybe someone is wondering, why are we talking about portfolio career on a podcast that is for healthcare professionals, to challenge the hero narrative. Very, let's say there is very little understanding, I see, at least from my experience, that people don't pay attention to the financial well-being. So we think that is only the mind, body, spirit. Actually, there is so much more. So let's say you've reached a point as a doctor or a nurse where you don't want to work in a healthcare facility anymore. Like, if you don't have a backup, you haven't thought about this before, you haven't put, I don't know, savings, investment, you haven't developed additional skills or some kind of competitive advantage that really it's somehow, I wouldn't say easy, but it is, you are at an advantage when you are switching between the careers. So the financial well-being is overlooked. People don't pay attention, and then when crisis happens, I mean, you can be just, fired. It happens, or I don't know, a system shut down, or there is a crisis in the country. You've moved the country. How you gonna have that extra skill set that will make you just that little bit better than all the other candidates in the market?
Yeah, and it gives you freedom, the freedom of choice. And I think that's important for the well-being, because if it's our choice, it feels a whole lot better than when it's someone else's choice.
Yes.
Absolutely. Fantastic. Wow, ladies, talking about well-being, when I look into it personally, it's now becoming embedded in me and understanding more that this is part of life. But it's not easy for people to actually reach that level of well-being, because they don't have the skill set, they don't have the tools, maybe they don't have the knowledge, and they don't have the encouragement. Maybe their environment is different, maybe the conditions that they live in, it doesn't allow for it, and it's sad, unfortunately. But there is always a way, there is always a silver lining, in my belief, and it starts with the little things. And the little things can be asking for support from someone closer, and having that community that you build around you, the tribe of people who will be there for you when you actually need someone to boost you up. Because yes, you are growing, yes, you are succeeding, yes, you are reaching your full potential, but you're a human at the end of the day, and you need these elements to support you in your journey. Absolutely correct. And for me, my question will be, how did you cultivate all of this and maintain your health and your well-being and your mental sanity?
Yeah, don't know if I did, but probably yes. It was a journey, obviously, as well, because when you start out with 25 working as a cardiac surgeon, you don't care so much about your well-being, because you're so driven, and that's not something, or you don't think about longevity, because that's like miles away. So I was really pissed when a plastic surgeon actually I knew he was like, no, don't go into cardiac surgery, go into aesthetic surgery. And I was like, no, I'm going into cardiac surgery. And say, yeah, I will do a simulation how you will look like at 30 when you go into cardiac surgery, because you have no sleep, you have so much stress, and you will look so much older. And I was like, oh my God, not me. So I was really offended. So yeah, so that's the starting point. So what always was that I was always, as said before, with playing volleyball, I was very active. So obviously there is a difference with being a student and being a doctor. So I cut down obviously on my level of activity in a week because there was not that much time anymore. So that was one thing. Social life obviously changes as well, with your friends, or the ones you know from uni, maybe they go and live in other cities, so you have to build up a new social life. So that was for me. And so there, as you said, there are different aspects of it, and if you don't take care of them, then they just slip away. And I had it, for example, with exercise. So as I said before, you get lazy, and then you can verify everything with working 80 hours a week. It's like, oh my God, how possibly can I work out other than my volleyball training? But when I did, and when I made the commitment to myself to say, no, something has to change. That's not me. I was so active. I was always sporty. And all of a sudden, I found me like doing sports twice a week. That was not who I am. And then it was about the discipline we were talking about before, like really making the commitment for myself and showing up even if I wasn't feeling like showing up. So that's one thing. And then obviously when we think about longevity and well-being, and we know now that sleep is such an important factor, but sleep is probably the one thing I was deprived on for years because that's never enough in cardiac surgery. And when I look now back, I'm laughing at myself. I'm tracking my sleep now really diligently with the ultra-human ring. It's like, so, oh, how's my sleep score? Oh, it's only 94. And it's like, oh my God, it's the end of the world. So, oh yeah, I had a glass of wine yesterday, so maybe I just ditched the alcohol. So now we obviously we have more tools now with the trackers, and we know more about it, and so it's probably easier to implement. But I'm totally with you, we need the little things. We don't need like, okay, I start from 0 to 100, because that's not going to work. And I found it beautiful what you said before, just take the 5 minutes and breathe. So I think that was something I implemented at first, while still being in cardiac surgery. I'm not a really spiritual person. I'm a medical doctor, so I'm pretty much facts oriented and not that spiritual. But all of a sudden, I tried Headspace, so that's the meditation app, and I found it really helpful. And that's what the breathing. It's just really, as you said, 5 minutes of doing nothing. Just being with yourself, breathe and concentrate on that. And it does like a whole brain reset, because everything else is like, okay, it's different now. And so I think really everyone has that 5 minutes. You just have to set a timer or a commitment or whatever, and hold yourself accountable to it. Obviously, sleep is important. Obviously, nutrition is something we all can do. So it doesn't need like the 20-minute sauna protocols. Now everyone is like proclaiming do that once a week, not once a week, once a day. So no one has time for that.
Yeah, when it comes to well-being, there isn't a one prescription. And this is something that we keep repeating in this space. And I'm going to be saying this over and over again. There isn't a prescription, and there isn't a blanket approach. That's why we need to bring almost awareness to so many different solutions. Okay, if you're working 80 hours a week, you can still do something about your well-being. So a very powerful example that I have shared already a few times is something that I set in my own leadership practice when I was still in corporate. So I have learned to incorporate processing breaks in my calendar. So I went from having 7 1-hour back-to-back meetings in a day without time to drink water, running like crazy, not because I'm the victim and someone has done it for me. I allowed for this to happen. And then the processing break can be as short as 10 to 15 minutes. You sit down with yourself and you do a full check-in. How am I feeling? Mentally, spiritually, physically, emotionally, what's going on? What do I need to adjust? am I breathing at the rate and at the depth that is optimal for a human being? And that was really like a most powerful awareness of my well-being practice. Then I started teaching it to others. Yes, resistance was there, because how come we are always running here, no one have time for tea, coffee, even to talk to each other. And then, again, just have that courage that we are talking here about. You need to have courage to try new solutions. Without courage, and sometimes failing, because for you, your volleyball, basketball might work. For me, it won't.
Of course.
And again, is this kind of, well-being is an industry, and they try to sell us everything. So get this app, get this watch, go to this yoga class, do, I don't know, electronic breathing, AI-powered meditation, da. Find something that works for you, but then ask yourself why. Why do I want to do it? Is it because my friend is doing it? Or I'm really looking to try a new solution and see whether it's gonna work for me? So yeah, I love this discussion. It's so refreshing. It's a different kind of raw, beautiful and authentic human conversation. I think this is what we need in the well-being space, and not just do this, don't do this. Do this, this is bad for you, this is good for you. Yes, we need evidence-based. We need to understand the science. We need to understand the research. But again, everyone is different. So what is going to work for one human being, it doesn't necessarily going to bring any positive effect for the other human being.
No, and I think that's something that's really annoying me in the wellness space. So I love wellness and I love catering, pampering myself. So not to get me wrong, but I think that one size fits all.
Yeah.
What we are trying to get away from in all the longevity or preventative medicine concepts, where we go into precision medicine and saying, okay, everyone needs something else because of our genetics imprint before of all the epigenetics. But now in the wellness space, everyone says, no, everyone needs to have the same. So at the moment, it's somatics. And so I don't know if it's just my Instagram, but my Instagram is full of that. Everyone is like, oh no, we have to be calm all the time, and your nervous system regulation. I'm like, what? You don't even know what you're talking about. So yes, it's good to have parts where you're not stressed and where you're calm. That's usually when we sleep. But you don't need to be calm all the time. Don't tell me I have to be calm. And then those people are, because I know some of them, they are like, oh yeah, you do CrossFit. Oh no, it doesn't mess with your nervous system and your hormones. I said, nope, I'm totally fine. I love that sport. Just do it. But yeah, so wellness is, and I think it's not a protective brand or not a protective space. So everyone who's kind of, I don't know, has been on a yoga retreat or something else can now claim that he's or she is a wellness expert. And I think there we have to kind of differentiate what is evidence-based and what can help certain kind of people. As we know with some medicine that helps certain kind of people, that's the same, and what is something that helps other kind of people. And so that's, I think, with all the wellness space and all the, it's good to talk about that, and I think it's good to talk about mental health and good to talk about the wellness and taking care of us, but I think the differentiation has to follow.
I love that, and I think habits, when we say it, it feels like it's fluffy, but honestly it is very profound, because it becomes automatic, right? So you need to cultivate intentional, non-negotiable, meaningful habits that you kind of give your heart to actually change. And as you said, it's like it's not the same thing for everyone. What works for you doesn't work for me. But if I cultivate habits, simple, breathing, practicing gratitude, walking, surfing, whatever makes it good for you, and using that to power up, to recharge, to come with the strength and beauty that you are in, makes the whole difference. Absolutely. I love it.
You know what? I feel calm at the end of this
I know,
conversation.
we have to ramp the nervous system up. I bring so much energy. Come on.
Yeah, I think the message in here would be that calm is good, but energetic is also good, right, guys? Thank you so much for this insightful and really enlightening discussion. I always enjoy talking to you, and we have a lot of fun conversations out there. As two healthcare professionals, I enjoy also being challenged because I've developed that curiosity, and I said curiosity is my super skill. I really want to understand other people's point of view, and this is how, together with Nina, we can cultivate a space where people have access to a lot of different solutions, a lot of different narratives, challenging the notion of, I need to be the hero, I need to be stressed, I need to be burnt out to be successful in healthcare. You are an example, Kerstin, of someone who is really thriving. And when I listened to your story from the beginning, when something wasn't working, you said, no, this is not me. No, I don't want to be there. Yes, I want to try this. Yes, I want to go there. And this is like courage, mission, vision. I am fully aligned, and also I understand why am I doing it. So thank you so much for contribution to this discussion and to this platform. I really appreciate you.
Thank you. It was a fun podcast.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
So, whoever is listening to us, I hope you like this discussion. You should like this discussion. So, press that subscribe button and share it with others, because our aim here in From Hero to Podcast is to cultivate a positive change in our ecosystem, whether it comes to mental health, well-being for healthcare professionals and beyond. So when you find something beneficial, it is working on a personal level, do share it with others. They might be interested to try it, and you never know, it might work from them. Till next time.
Bye.